move on to the backup deck for today, which is updated Carnage combo. We played, I think this is our third time playing Carnage, or as the Omen Path version is called, Descarex Gift of Servitude. Now, I think we 3-2'd both of our leagues. This one is leaning in on the Phantasmal Image combo, where if you Phantasmal Image a Carnage, you can return itself infinite times. So you get infinite death and infinite ETB triggers. And so you can win the game with an Apprentice, Marionette, or a Sephiroth. Last time we were just playing Sephiroth, but because we've added a bunch of Abhorrent Oculuses, I was a bit worried about this mana curve. So I wanted to go down on the Sephiroths, and have these be a little bit better on the curve of the Apprentices. We also have the 4 Thoughtseize in the main deck. We've got some Surgicals in the sideboard. But this deck was good last time. And I think that we had Bowmaster last time, but I think not playing Oculus was a big misstep. This is going to help us a lot against Boros, just help us a lot in general. An incredibly good card to Unearth. It also can dig you for some combo pieces by letting you flip and put some of the stuff into play, although you do need the lands. I thought Mimic would have been gone there. The Mimic is so rough on the mana that you could play it, but it would just kind of be like the 20-second land. I didn't really feel like we needed more clones, because one thing I really liked about this deck was you have a lot of card selection between like the Supplier, the Unearth, the Looting, the Frog, the Seasoned Pyromancer, the Nightmare, and now the Oculus, and to some extent the Carnage. Like this, you're really good at seeing like most of your decks. So I think when that's the case. The card quality matters more than redundancy, if that makes sense. Thoughts on Tiny Bones? I think the Tiny Bones is interesting, but I would just kind of rather keep the cards creature focused, because now we're on Oculus and we have all the Unearths and stuff. Tiny Bones is just not a very good card, but it is kind of cool that it's like card neutral 1 mana and then an infinite mana sink. But I just think the card also kind of sucks. I think on the draw we can keep this. 3-mana Cure. I think it's just worse than all the other cards. It's worse than Seasoned Pyromancer by a good amount in this deck. We have Carnage and the Image. And the Apprentice. Force Negation, Pitching Consign on my Thoughtseize. So we're playing against Neoform probably. Or maybe I guess I don't play Force that often. Okay. Dude, Frog players are like, I got some main deck consigns. I'm good to go. I think I'm interested in imaging the. I'm interested in imaging the Frog. I should be getting the Moxfield up to date in a second. Probably just Gorya's, yeah. Thankfully, this still goes to the graveyard. Oh, in the hypothetical deck. Yeah, maybe. Although, I don't know if it's super good there either. Could be okay. So if we just draw a land, we can go Apprentice this turn and then just hardcast this for the loop-de-doop next turn. Do you also have Ephemerate? Give me a freaking break. Solitude and Defrog into. Okay, it's just a Thoughtseize. Although it's a pretty good Thoughtseize. I think I just want to Surveil this turn since I don't have double red. So let's go Supplier, then Surveil. Milled and Oculus. So if we keep a card on top, we're not going to block if they don't fly. Okay, we're going to keep that on top, so we're not going to block. Although it could be fun if my opponent would Fatal Push to kill my Oculus. Why does it go to grave? So when they targeted my Image, the Image still keeps this ability. When it's targeted by a spell, you sacrifice it. So the Exile ability on Solitude never resolved because it was in the graveyard before it would have. Alright, lands, get out of here. Then a Trawler. Then I have a Spyro, but Spyro has more value from the yard, so probably the Frog. And then I guess the other Oculus. I'm gonna get rid of this, but then I want to keep the Nightmare as a out. And then let's attack with the Supplier, which might turn this into a 2-turn clock. If my opponent wants to dump their entire hand to trade for the Oculus, we probably need to accept that. Ooh, Indulgence. Mending is more stocked now. They discard an island. Alright, so they're going to go up to 4 cards in their hand. Flipping up the image could be relevant to trigger the Marionette Apprentice for damage, so I think we choose that. We already have an image in the yard for the combo. So they play Fountain untapped. Maybe they're going to Solitude, maybe they're going to Riddler. They do Solitude, so I gain 5, which is not that much. Up to 17. They're probably going to fly the frog. They do fly the frog. I get hit for 1 down to 16. I draw a frog. Kind of too little, kind of too late. I think we're going to try to nickel and dime them out of this game here. So I'm going to make a servo, and then I'm going to attack for 2, and then they're not very likely to block. And then when they attack with the Solitude, we could try to double block and get the drains off. Welt, the 22 months. Hope you're doing well. Best draw by a pretty big amount is probably Unearth. We'll see. Ah, they have Goryo's Gristlebrand. Am I dead to Goryo's Gristlebrand? They are at 5. Although maybe this is just them discarding for Quantum Riddler also. Okay, so they can... Yeah, I'm not dead. They have to be kind of nervous about drawing cards. So if I block like this, they gain 3 and then they take 3. Which is a lot more than them gaining 3. I mean, they're going to gain the other 7, but if they basically stay, well, hold on. So, no, I guess only 2 is the same, isn't it? Because if we block like this, then they're basically at 6 after they draw. So it's probably a bit better to have this in play. They can only draw 7. If they find Ephemerate, it's going to be tough. Welt to 22, Gagora to 29, showed up for Modern with a standard deck, went 4-1 with Jeskai Black. I beat Grixis Frog twice, Boros Titan, lost to Affinity. Like the old Jeskai Black deck? No More Lies with actual counter spells. Funny to cast Jeskai Revelation with inevitable defeat of Modern. Any reason these cards don't see more play? Well, they don't see more play because they're just less efficient than playable Modern cards. But it's cool that you did well with them. Force of Negation? A lot of times people like, and it's me, I'm people, can flounder a bit when faced with cards they don't usually have to play against. Thoughtseize? Now, I kind of want to keep this in play, so if I top deck a Carnage, I can discard it and start my loop-de-doop. My opponent discards a Goryo. Seems like maybe they thought the Gristlebrand was back in the yard. Oh no, sorry, they're just flying. They left the Goryos in the yard. So, I think I'm gonna not block this turn, so I can maintain that out. Maybe this is a little greedy. I also might want to cast the Spyro next turn if I draw the red source, so... I don't know if I'm... I guess discarding a card wouldn't be something I do anyways. Wow, they didn't discard a card to draw 2 extra cards. That has to be a mistake. There's like no combination of 2 cards where they wouldn't want to discard 1 for 2 extra, I think. Well, this is a bad draw. So I can hit them for 3, 4, 5, 6. I discussed the looting. Looking for Unearth, I guess. Brutal draws. I guess I discard these 2. And then we leave the frog back to chump. Not feeling very good about our spot. Yeah, I guess I could have surveilled. Sorry, I should have surveilled to see if we found Unearth, or I guess would Unearth have? Yeah, I could have unearthed the frog, but also the last copy of Carnage. So opponent goes down to 8. Again, we can flip this up for an extra damage if that ends up being our ticket. Okay, that's best case scenario. They play another Riddler. So looking for Sephiroth, Unearth, Carnage. So I guess we can flashback looting, looking for Unearth. Pretty narrow, not necessarily gonna, or even like that likely to get the job done, and they force a negation, and we go to game 2. Very tough draws, yeah. Alright, so I want to bring in the Surgicals, at least 2 Vexing Baubles, if not 3. I guess it's a bit awkward with the Surgicals. We can spin to black mana. Copy Riddler. So when I flip the image up, it just dies. It has to enter, but it dying triggers the Apprentice, but I couldn't flip it up to copy the Riddler. I might cut the Suppliers. I might go down like 2 Supplier, 1 Oculus, 1 Bombardment. Let's do that. Yeah, it'll just die if you flip up the image, but it just dying was, again, a little bit of an upside, which is why we kept that option available to us. Yeah, I definitely want to keep this. Let's go ahead and... Leading on the Bauble is really tempting because of Force of Negation. I think I am going to do that and bank on drawing a land in the next 3 draws for the Unearth. Okay, I did draw a land, so let's go cast the Looting. So probably discard Boggart Trawler. Maybe I want to unearth the... Yeah, let's actually unearth the Frog. I want to keep this so I can get my 3rd red. Or 2nd red. Let's unearth the Frog, because next turn I can go discard the Seasoned Pyromancer. And, so discard the Carnage and the Seasoned Pyromancer, then cast the Carnage with Mayhem to bring back the Seasoned Pyromancer. And with my opponent not being able to Solitude, doing all that seems kind of nice. Could cast the Looting first. Let's go ahead and do that. Might find something a little bit better to do this turn. It might also do something like this, which is just going to clear some dead cards. And then why don't we do this now so the card we draw off the Frog is good. Looking at the flush trick list, I'm unable to comprehend how it did poorly. It makes so much sense. Well, we trophied with it yesterday. You can have some variants of these kind of decks. I think maybe, we had upper end yesterday towards a lower end today. I do still like the deck. That being said, we might get to Image and Attracts of this game. That being said, I did not like the Fecundity build as much for whatever that's worth. They have the Gorios, I think. Yeah, I don't think they ever tap like so slowly like this, if they don't. They do not reveal an Ephemerate, so they would have had to already have one in their hand to save the Atraxa from this board. They do reveal a Solitude, Gristlebrand, Preordained, Marsh Flats, Swamp, Emperor, Island, Marsh Flats, Delta, Delta. So they can only get 3 cards here, Preordain, one of the 3 creatures, and a land. They choose Preordain, Island, Gristlebrand. So they can discard this Gristlebrand to hand size, which could be a bit problematic for us if they don't have the Ephemerate. I mean, if they do have the Ephemerate, it's kind of not so bad because we get to copy the Atraxa. Interesting that they didn't cast the Preordain. Does this mean that they have something like Consign? They discard the Preordain to hand size. My opponent says, I had Consign in hand, misclick. Well, nice of them to answer my question. Why don't we just go ahead and get in for 11? No, this is 9. It seems like we need to play this Oculus to block the Gristlebrand. I think I might end up unearthing a Trawler. We'll see if they still have the consign. Can use the image to rebuy Trawler. Not from the graveyard. We do have the combo. If this lives, we can go flip this up, image the Carnage, and do the loop. Oh, sorry, we could image the Carnage for the Trawler. Maybe that was just better, huh? Although with the Vexing Bauble in play, their deck is really, really handicapped, like what they can do this turn. Yeah, maybe, but it may be just copying the Carnage to get the Trawler was the best move. So we want to land the combo kill. That's a land. There's another. I guess another consign doesn't stop us at all, does it? All right, so we'll flip up the Apprentice. We'll image. We won't copy this lowly Gristlebrand, of course. We'll be copying the Carnage. And then we'll keep the old one, which will let this die, and then the image can just return itself. You might think that you need 2 images for the combo, but you just need 1 because the image can return itself when you copy the Carnage. Or the Descarex. And they can, I guess they can consign this trigger, actually. To stop the combo, but they don't have a second consign. They also don't draw looking for a second consign. Nice Gristlebrand, nice Atraxa, who cares? Let's bring in the third Vexing Bauble. I think I might go down a Seasoned Pyromancer. It was pretty good that game. Again, a little bit awkward with the Surgicals. We can spend a mana maybe. They might have only had 1 consign in their deck post-board. That isn't impossible. Alright, let's keep this one. Opponent's got 7 cards in their hand. It's a 1-lander, but we actually have lands in the deck. Sorry for clapping. In the deck that we could draw into. They keep a card on top. So Thoughtseizing to deal with an opposing frog is important. And we draw the land, of course. Let me take the Urge, since we have the Surgical for the Gorios. Yeah, a little bit awkward with the Bauble. Worried that their top card is a frog. It's like the best. It's annoyingly like the best possible by a really big amount. Untaps, taps for black, has the frog. Brutal, brutal top card. Like, I would have loved to be able to Thoughtseize it. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the Hand Hider when the draw stop has arrived. Not that they're ghosting, but let's just protect ourselves. I think the opponent might not go for the Gristlebrand here. We'll see. Yes, my opponent is going for the Prismatic Ending instead of the Goryo's Gristlebrand. Magus seems kind of strong. Pretty bad against the Solitudes. Yeah, it could mean Surgical, but we know the Surgical's not in their hand. So I think I'm going to discard Vexing Bauble Oculus. I want to keep this Sephiroth to gain some life and can sack these tokens. Is the angle of this deck you get to be a less clunky version of the Reanimator version, or is the idea to maximize Carnage? I guess I don't know which version you're talking about Reanimator-wise, but I kind of feel like we are a Reanimator build, but just mini Reanimator. So the Graveyard of Solitude. Tank, tank, tank. Go for the Gristlebrand. Alright, so the 1 Gristlebrand in the deck. They got a couple Wrathless guys. It was just 1 consign. And it's Mending Solitude at the moment. They fly the frog. I guess let's attack first. They do have a Solitude in their hand, kind of a high chance they'll Solitude this, maybe hardcast next turn if they find mana number 5. They do keep a card on the top. Their hand is Solitude Mending, 2 mystery cards. There's the 5th mana for the hardcast Solitude. I'm down to 9. I graveyard that, of course. I guess let's start off with looting. So they have a Force of Negation in their hand. So your hand is Mending, probably Force of Negation, 2 unknowns. Improve Bones can get a lot of stuff here. Am I dead? I guess I'm dead to the Oculus. Well, brutal that my opponent chose to play around the Surgical. Brutal that my opponent top decked the Frog, and we start 0-1. Alright, gonna keep this on the draw. My opponent has queued into me in the modern league, says I never thought this would happen. I'm actually here pretty often. You'll probably run into me eventually. It's pretty likely, I'd say. It's a Mountain Ragavan. Oh, they've got a Jade Avenger avatar. Cool. Wow, they've got the signed one. Wow. You usually don't want to keep 2 Seasoned Pyromancers in your hand. This opponent doesn't have Thraben Charm. Consign for the Spyro ETB. Pretty good. Cool. A lot of main deck consigns right now. I feel like it's too many, but I guess Tron is pretty popular. So much. Maybe Consign's just always been 5-head main deck card. Sephiroth. Don't think we want to attack for 1 first in case our opponent has a counter spell for the Sephiroth. Although I guess there's not a lot that counters it. You don't know what's going on over there. Is there a bad matchup for Consign? I mean, I don't think there's a matchup where it does nothing. But it is pretty bad against like Prowess. It's not very good against Boros. We'll lead on the looting. Again, it's really tough to get value out of 2 Spyros if you have 2 in your hand, so you don't usually want to leave both in your hand. I should have got Steam Vents though, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I guess we're attacking since this resolves. I don't know what their hand is. Probably better for the image to be in the graveyard in this spot. Although we could flip it to trigger the Sephiroth. In the graveyard lets me combo kill if I find Carnage. 5 cards in their hand. Doing nothing. Dare I play Bombardment this turn? I think I dare. So let's not use the Sephiroth, since they're dead to Bombardment. Very odd game. Must be super flooded. So I'm assuming they're like Jeskai Energy with main deck consigns and like Consign Riddler, Ephemerate Riddler. Do I want push against that? I typically want them against the energy decks, but maybe not this energy deck specifically. And senior year of college with subs and sophomore year. Nice. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your time here and finish strong, lest you end up like me. I need to keep these Thoughtseizes in for some of the graveyard hate. Just Guy Scam. Yeah, people go, hey, I'm playing Just Guy Scam. And I don't usually know exactly what that means, but that might be what they're doing. Let's play 2 pushes. Just over 2 suppliers. Did you see some people playing Geist and Blue White Blink? I have seen it, yeah. We were playing Geist for a little bit in like Just Guy Energy, where you can consign the token leaving. You can, if you do that, you can copy it with Ocelot Pride. Jumping Geist with Guide is really good. So I'm glad to see people adopting it. It definitely is a card that I have liked. It is not a card. It's not a card that I have a lot of experience with, besides just a handful of leagues. But I think it's cool that people are trying it. I don't know exactly like what matchups it's like really good in either. Okay, so we're gonna. I think it's probably better that I try to Thoughtseize Graveyard Hate than play the Supplier this turn. Maybe also Thoughtseize Solitude. So it's like we were playing Geist and Energy. Maybe you can pull up the old. This was pre Edge of Eternities, and like the guys were pretty good. It was pretty good. That's right. I was also on my Caretaker's Talent adventures, and so it was also pretty good with Caretakers. But now you've got Quantum Riddler, so you don't have that synergy anymore. Oh, the other one is you can Mockingbird the token if you consign it. Although a lot of this did like hinge on you having consign, but it does make the main deck consigns better. So there's that. So discard 1 and a 2. And welcome back to life. Hope they didn't top deck Thraben Charm, although they've got the Aspiring Spike avatar, so that wouldn't be such a big deal. Maybe they have another bolt off the top. Time to update that list with Riddler. Maybe I could be kind of open to it, although we would more so be updating our Quantum Energy build with Geist. You know, could be good. I actually think I just want this Spyro in the yard because I've got the Nightmare in hand. Not a big difference between turning a 2/2 into a 2/2 into a 2/2 anyways. A 2/2 wearing a 2/2 into a 2/2 wearing a 2/2. Maybe I'll cast this card. Please don't play Geist, play Recruiter or Ranger Captain. I will say that Geist is definitely better in the like Boros metagame. It was good when we were playing it. It does make your main deck consigns like significantly better. And without having to play something like Null Drifter. Scryhard with the 8 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Kind of a bummer that they got so flooded both games. Hard to mulligan the on the play Ragavan. Although I don't know how this Riddler got surveilled into the yard. Maybe they felt it was too slow. I think I want that. Keep it in. You can flip into a 4/3 trample. That's bigger than a 2/2. Yeah, the Oculus is just definitely should have been in the first draft of this deck. They just kind of make you not so afraid of your opponents having removal spells. So we don't really have lethal no matter how they which one of these they block. And I think even if they block this, I'm not going to flip it up because that doesn't present lethal. So we mill another Carnage. I think we're just getting back Spyro. Maybe I guess we'll keep those Nightmare in hand. Enjoying modern testing for Calgary format has been pretty fun compared to how awful standard. Decided to pick up prowess and treating well. Yeah, prowess is like you just had the second best win rate at the PT. I think somehow the deck is really slept on. Even me, I think I really underrated the deck. I think it's a great choice. And thank you for the 32 months, Cat. Standard is great, by the way. I thought, isn't it still VV Hell? Is it? It's not VV Hell anymore? What happened? Maybe like the arena ladder just like self-corrects. People get tired of playing arena, or get tired of playing VV. I got a new one where it's time to put her down. She's put in many good years of service. The mic stand retirement home is too expensive. Can't afford it. I guess I'm gonna go swamp steam vents. Kind of bad if I draw Seasoned Pyromancer, I guess. I don't really want to go Fetch Shock, and Thoughtseize though. It's VV in the new Living In deck and standard. I have seen that, yeah. So, okay, someone tried to show me the modern version of the Living In deck, which is trying to reanimate the creature that Living Ins, but like, you could just play Living In this format. you've gone one step too far. It's crazy. Guess we take the Solitude. Steam vents. Second Goryo's opponent this league. So much Goryos. And then my opponent F6s through their turn. A little bit of a oopsie doopsie. And you know what? I was going to pass back. I was going to pass back. Well, let's go to game 2 then. I think I like this. The baubles can replace the suppliers on curve. Oh wait, so I went one less than one supplier for the Oculuses. So how's this update? What changed? The big thing is we we're playing Bowmaster over the Oculuses in the first build. This build just really needed Oculus. And then we're also playing Apprentices now when we weren't before because now we have more 3s and less 2s. So we need to lower the curve and play less Sephiroths. And the sideboard's different too. So maybe like 15, 20 cards different. It was you Living In deck, went 2/2 locals. Nice. Yeah, I think it's fun, but it also just feels like you looped around one too many times, you know. I think the pro of building this way is that the deck in Modern is one folds to consign. You can play Flusterstorm to fight consigns. Well, no, the thing is, if you're playing this to reanimate a creature from the graveyard, you don't need to reanimate this Living In creature and bring back a ton of stuff. You just need to reanimate it Atraxa and then ephemerate it and put like Force of Wills and Solitude, Force of Negations and Solitudes into your hand. You know, like that formula hasn't changed. And so it's like you can move away from Living In into Goryos. I think that's perfectly acceptable. But moving from Living In into this creature Living In it's too much. It's craziness. And we might get a Traxid here. No, I didn't know Eternal Weekend was coming up last weekend. I did miss it. I heard it was really good though. I've always wanted to go to Eternal Weekend. Maybe one of these years. Okay. You know what? We'll have some fun here if they Goryos or Goryos ephemerate. All right. Well, they might not have the ephemerate. They do have it. All right. We might lose, or I'd say we're even still pretty behind, but this is very fun. And then we can dig for like an Apprentice Marionette to combo off the next turn, maybe. EU is next month. I'll be in Japan next month for my honeymoon. Any interest in World Cup games next summer? Both Dallas and Houston are both cities. Like the soccer World Cup. Wait, we're not hosting the World Cup, are we? Maybe is it what game? Also, I'm not going to Houston for anything, but I'll stay here for something. Yeah, that's soccer, ain't it? Soccer, I hardly know her. All right, they Solitude. I have one more card to discard. So I really want to find a Vexing Bauble. Oh. I guess I play a Swamp, so I'm not just dead if they can target my image. This is fun. Okay, so we can take a land, an Unearth over a Thoughtseize, and then a creature. We're only putting 3 cards in our hand, so we're not going to get to discard a good creature to hand size. Seems like I want to take the Sephiroth to try to set up for combo. So like if I trade Atraxa for Atraxa, which isn't the most likely, but let's daydream for a second. Then there's an image in the yard. Then I can go Frog, Carnage. Yeah, I guess if I draw Faithless Looting, we can win. Yeah, I didn't know we were hosting the World Cup. I mean, I might go. I mean, soccer games look really fun. Soccer games look really fun, brother. I tell you what. But there's not like a lot of support for the sport where I'm from, so it could be fun. I'm not going to Houston for anything, but I might drive 30 minutes to see some soccer. So they take the Carnage. Did they take another Goryo's off the Atraxa? I can't remember. So they pending my Atraxa copy, but then I can maybe unearth the image and do it again. Why Houston bad? It's like, so, you know, as someone from Dallas, Houston is like kind of all of the worst parts of the city, exacerbated in my opinion. It's like the weather is worse, the highways are worse, and that's kind of the 2 worst parts besides from all the other stuff. But those are the 2 things I hate the most about growing up here. And I just, the highways are even worse than the Dallas's awful highways, and the weather is even worse than Dallas's awful weather. All right, so they have Marsh Flats, Thoughtseize, Atraxa, Goryo's. So they can't discard any of those to hand size. I guess let's start off by copying the Atraxa again. Can't you just win? Play Sephiroth and Carnage Unearth. Play Sephiroth and Carnage Unearth. Well, I can't cast this for 2 mana without discarding it, so I'd have had to play the Frog first, right? Maybe I'm misunderstanding. So yeah, they got Marsh Flat. They have a Goryo's, so I'm gonna have to take the Surgical anyways. I'm gonna get this Nightmare for free. Sorry for how squeaky the mic is today. Mic stand is today. Did I already choose this? And then I think we need another Carnage. So let's go ahead and play Frog with the ability to fly the Frog on defense if the Atraxa dies, and then 0 mana Surgical to stop the Gristlebrand going to 1 life point. Oh, interesting. I guess I kind of need this as the discard outlet, so I guess we'll keep it on top. Although maybe I didn't need it because I could go unearth the Seasoned Pyromancer. Will they target the Atraxa? They do not. So if they just have something that targets my Atraxa, we're going to go to game 3. Oh, they have the Thoughtseize for the Surgical. So I guess I could have played around this. I didn't. We know they have the Goryo's. Although I guess we're not dead to this, though. Or not dead to this. So I could Surgical Solitude maybe. Doesn't really seem like it does anything because they can just Gorios in response. But yeah, I can just block and be alive technically, so we'll play it out. Although maybe this is a waste of time because they would have to have no Solitudes in the top 21. I'm gonna try putting my water bottle under the mic stand. Again, I ordered a new one, should be here today. I wanted to take Boggart instead of Carnage to exile the yard. Well, we couldn't have played... I guess we have played untap land? I thought that playing the Frog this turn so we could beat like a Prismatic Ending and then have the Surgical up for the Gristlebrand was better. Game 3 on the play. I'll take our sideboard plan. Let's run it back. Fun to get to image a track, so that was kind of on my bucket list for today. That's right, they would have subtlety the Trawler anyways, then we couldn't have Surgical. Yeah, it is funny they could just target it with Pending. Well, good looking hand. Maybe the Gorio's opponent won't play so hard around the Surgical in game 3. So I could take the Thoughtseize with the intention of imaging the Frog. I think I'd rather just take the Frog, then they don't have a discard outlet for the Gristlebrand. I don't have to worry about them top decking removal. In fact, I guess I shouldn't Thoughtseize in response because I need to keep the Spyro probably. Let me know if you would have taken the Thoughtseize over the Frog. The Pending comment reminded me of when Thalia was still playable. Yeah, Thalia used to be a modern staple back when this was a real format. Alright, probably good to just run the Nightmare out here against another Thoughtseize. I like that Nightmare is a reanimation spell that you can play kind of proactively or preemptively, I guess would be the better word. Yeah, Thalia wasn't even good enough for my, like, as like a one of in the sideboard of my Relic of Legends human combo deck. Like, I didn't even find her to be good against spell-based combo like Belcher. Did you find another Frog? So their hand is Archive, Solitude, Gristlebrand. They found a Quantum Riddler. Hello and goodbye, Quantum Riddler. I have a feeling I'll see you later. We know they have Solitude in their hand. The thing is, I just really need to play the Seasoned Pyromancer next turn and hold up the Surgical, which is also a little bit weird with the Bauble, so I think this is fine to graveyard here. We've got a couple more in the deck. So there's the Archive. So their hand is Solitude, Gristlebrand, Mystery Card. They have a Quantum Riddler in the Warp Zone. Will they take the Surgical this time? No, they take the Spyro again, but with the Nightmare in play, just any creature that's not Phantasmal Image. Okay, and I drew Vexing Bauble anyways. Wow. Alright, well. Show goes on. So maybe just gonna be a hardcast Quantum Riddler kind of game, although maybe I'll get to image the Riddler. So if my opponent casts Riddler next turn, I probably want to get the Surgical out of my hand since I'm going to be going like cast image, copy Riddler, sack it to the Nightmare, get back Spyro most of the time. So would I Surgical the Ephemerate? Would I Surgical the Frog? They just have a tap land, so I don't think we do anything yet. I guess we need to do something, huh? It's very awkward, I know. I guess we could sack the Vexing Bauble and then keep the Surgical in our hand. And then maybe we could draw a fetch land to keep the Spyro in the yard. I draw a Frog. So I could go play Frog, sack Frog, discard Oculus Image, get back Seasoned Pyromancer. Thing is, the image is just going to be pretty good if they hardcast Riddler or Solitude next turn. So I think we'll say goodbye to these. And then I'm okay if they pitch something to Solitude, if it means I get to trigger the Oculus on their upkeep, or if they don't, that's okay. Then I just can image the Solitude, or I guess not. I guess if they pitch, I can't do that. I can image the Riddler then. Okay, the Solitude pitch attracts us. The hand is Gristlebrand mystery card now. Very funny game. So I'm back up to 18.
Do you know where your headphones are?
I don't. Do you want these?
Yes, I would go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you want yours?
If you could find them, but you don't need to worry about it. So they warp another Riddler. They warp another Riddler. Could maybe have Surgical to Ephemerate, but the thing is, I kind of want them to Ephemerate a Riddler so I can image. They have 3 Riddlers in the Warp Zone, a Gristlebrand in hand, and 2 other cards in their hand. Am I interested in discarding the Oculus and nightmaring the Oculus into play and then imaging the Oculus? Yes. That sounds great. When they're at 9 life, I got Surgical in my hand. I really like that this deck is capable of just going toe-to-toe with Goryo's. Grind-wise. Great with the 12 months. Thank you. Welcome back. They have 3 mystery cards Gristlebrand, 3 Quantum Riddlers in the Warp Zone. Cast a Quantum Riddler. Don't think we're Surgicaling Solitude in response to the card draw. We have lethal in play, so they have to have Surgical to get me. Let's make them have it. All right, nice. So lost to Goryo's, beat Goryo's. A little bit of weirdness in this match. Okay, so on the draw with a double Thoughtseize. Seems fine. Last scene playing Eldrazi Tron here. We may have summoned the Karn the Great Creator here. We do have a bunch of Fulminators and some Magi on the board. Although they could be playing a different deck. What happened to the Brood Skies to us? I mean, that deck's still good. We got 10th place in the challenge on Friday with it. Lost our winning into top 8. I don't know that we necessarily want to run it back because it just never was the most exciting deck out there, but it was pretty good. So they have 2 2-mana ramp spells. I think I still am interested in taking the Rumble this turn and the K command next turn. Rumble is a bit of a better ramp spell because it also finds them like a Myco Spawn or an Eldrazi Temple in this kind of spot. Thank you. Do you think Red Green Eldrazi or Ice Till or Colorless Eldrazi is better for Houston? I think Broodskull is the one we've had the most success with. We do need to test a little bit more probably of the Trinisphere Ice Till deck. That was one that I had been kind of keeping a little bit of a secret for the showcase, and then we had like we had like a medium-ish run in the showcase, and then I don't think we ever played it again on stream. And I've been kind of wanting to dust it off. They found the Myco Spawn, which is bad. Maybe this means I should have just obviously taken the K command the first time. I don't know. I think we must still take the K command. It's just too good. The Sire is a big problemo. It's possible that we could assemble the combo the turn they go for Sire. They do need to draw another mana too. Yeah, it fills the grave for Emrakul too. Kind of tough. Let me know if you feel like you would have just taken the K command first and let them rumble. There's also the chance they would have not rumbled turn 2, that they would have played the Talisman. Although I think that if I didn't, if they, and I guess they wouldn't have done that if they drew the Myco Spawn, they probably play Talisman. But if they didn't draw Myco Spawn, they probably should rumble for Myco Spawn. So I don't know. Not the easiest turn. Shocking that my opponent is thinking this long. This could mean that they just drew another Myco Spawn. It could also mean that they're thinking about getting a Jukabog off of the Magus spawn, which would make a lot of sense if they just drew an Eldrazi Temple. Maybe they drew Ugin's Labyrinth instead, and they're like, if I could just draw another 7, and I could cast the Sire next turn, or the other 7 if that 7 is better. Why don't we go Spyro, discard Apprentice, Looting this turn? There's an Oculus. Let's block. Getting the Seasoned Pyromancer in the yard here is kind of just upside anyways. Staying at 8 might be relevant too, so I can combo and take a hit from the Sire, then combo. We know our opponent's hand is Sire and 2 mystery cards. One of the mystery cards, Utopia Sprawl. The other card, Ugin's Labyrinth. So I was right about the Ugin's Labyrinth being the card in hand, which is fun. To me, it seems like that's why they tanked so long on that last turn. So let's attack for 1, and then they can play the Sire next turn. Drawing Basic Swamp is weirdly really nice because it lets me double Nightmare this turn while also being able to still take a hit from the Sire as we dig for our combo. So I'm going to discard the Oculus and the Spyro to the Spyro trigger. Notably, oh sorry, we're not going to have the extra energy actually to set up for the combo. Two Stitcher Suppliers, huh? So that's pretty tempting to play both Suppliers, so I can go double Nightmare next turn, trying to find the combo. I get to maybe mill as many as 9 cards with these two. Could also maybe use them to block the Sire, not this turn, but next turn. So I think I'm going to cast the Suppliers. We do have an Apprentice in the yard, but we don't have a Carnage or a Image yet. And we still have none. So I don't know. I don't think that like getting the Oculus in play does that much against the Sire is the thing. I think that just kind of being all in on the combo here is about all we can do. Seems like maybe they drew a land and they're gonna try to Ghost Quarter me and play the Sire this turn. I guess not. Alright, so let's go bring back the Apprentice, I think. Mill 3 more. We continue to have no combo pieces. So I suppose we just need to keep digging. So let's go, I think just sack Supplier, bring back Supplier. Seems to be the move. I find Sephiroth, but I guess that's still not a combo piece. We are 35 cards deep. We haven't seen a Carnage. We haven't seen a Image yet. So I'm going to play my land with the intention of double blocking, which will allow me to sack a Delta. Do you think Sire is good enough without trying to maximize the ward ability? I don't know what you mean by trying to maximize the ward ability. I really am kind of clueless even what that might refer to. Or what you might mean by that. Sire is good against Boros and Prowess, and it's pretty mediocre against everything else. And that's Sire. Alright, so we lost our combo piece, so this will be even tougher. I guess a third Nightmare is going to be better than the average draw. Let me go Nightmare back Sephiroth. Okay, we mill the Carnage. We still need the Image, though. So I can go Nightmare. So I'm going to get back to Carnage, sacking the Seasoned Pyromancer. Always going to do this. And then I could get, if I get back the Seasoned Pyromancer, then all of a sudden I do just have enough blockers where I could block the Sire and survive this turn. But the problem is I discard my Nightmare. So my ability to combo kill after this is tough. Now, I could still draw Image off the Seasoned Pyromancer and combo kill, but I could also get Supplier, and that would be an extra look. This would be an extra look. And I guess this is just going to be better anyways, because I could still just Nightmare after this. Yeah, so this is an extra look at the Image, and then I can Nightmare to survive if I brick. And I do brick. Maybe getting back the Oculus. I guess getting back the Oculus is going to be better than getting the Spyro, since this is going to allow me to keep the Nightmare in my hand. And then we find the Image, so we can combo kill next turn. Only 57 cards deep. Barely an inconvenience. Well, I know you don't like aggro Eldrazi, putting them under pressure so the ward ability is good. I was just confused what you meant, sure. I mean, aggro Eldrazi is just not a playable deck, so you can still play Sire in ramp Eldrazi. I would say it's even better in this deck because you can cast it easier. Okay, so we do need to block all of this. That's Menace. Block like this. I guess we block like this because we keep a creature. But yeah, just the aggro Eldrazi build. It's worse than Tron. It's worse than Ramp. It's worse than Brood Scale. So it's just not a deck I really think about, I guess. So they killed the wrong creature here. I think it's better to have killed the Carnage, but maybe they don't know how the combo works. They do have 2 new cards. We'll see if any of them are relevant. They didn't play a land last turn either. First strike kills both, and then you live at 1. I guess you're talking about the other block. A little bit of lag, probably. Yeah, I do think this block is better. Okay, Utopia Sprawl. Love to see that. Again, they don't tap a bunch of mana. So like maybe they have K command, but the good news is if they have K command, we can whine and complain about that. So let's go cast Nightmare, play Bloodstained Mire, play Spyro, go for the kill. I draw 2 Unearths. Well, let's go for the kill. Couldn't you take 2 from Trample or missing something? A Sire of the 7 Deaths has Menace, so we have to double block it. It's one of the 7 deaths. Menace. Alright, we win. Cool. So let's bring in the Fulminators. Now, I don't like Magus very much against the ramp builds, better against the Tron builds. So maybe just bringing these in. Maybe cutting the Bombardment, maybe cutting 2 Seasoned Pyromancers, maybe 1 Menace, 1 Oculus, 1 Spyro. Let's do that. How often do you transform Sephiroth? Every time you combo with it, and then it doesn't matter. Naturally, not that often. Not that often. Cool game. I do wish aggro Eldrazi was like the Image 3 Eldrazi deck. If stupid Myco Spawn and K Command didn't exist, I think it would be a lot more fun for like the Line Breaker, and then like maybe a couple more cards that don't exist along that vein to exist instead of the ramp builds. They couldn't have K Command because if they did, you were dead on board. I mean, it's just the only card that, like if my opponent spent like 3 minutes and they tanked and they did nothing, after casting a Utopia Sprawl, they spent a long time thinking. So there isn't really any card that's reasonable for them to think about that isn't K Command. But I agree that it was very unlikely that they had it. I was just saying that. If they're thinking about anything, it's probably that. Okay, pretty good draw. Let's lead on that. Maybe stop at turn 2 Myco Spawn. So they have 2 Talismans, an Unholy Heat, and a World Breaker. The Heat seems like it's not doing much here. I think we'll just try to keep them off some mana, which can complement our Fulminator Mage plan. That card's pretty good. Not a bad top deck. This may be the kind of game where we go really in on a Psychic Frog. Opponent's hand is Unholy Heat, World Breaker, Mystery card. Can't cast a K command at least. Yeah, Linebreaker is a really sweet card. It's just like, why would you try to kill your opponent with combat? They top deck the best possible, maybe? They couldn't cast K command, this is the best possible. Oh my gosh. But yeah, why would you try to win the game with turn 4 combat damage when you could just cast a Miracle that Promised It on turn 4? After Stone Raining them with a turn 3 Myco spawn. The classic Thoughtseize player experience. Oh, I can't believe you drew the best card! You can't top Thoughtseize the top of the deck, huh? Alright, I think I'm gonna be okay if they chump. What am I okay with if they chump block the frog? I can discard 5, hit them for 6. And then they go down to 13, and then I can discard... Yeah, I guess we'll just 3-turn clock them after Thoughtseizing the World Breaker. I think we might as well fly first. Out of Delirious Unholy Heat range. Not that they even have Delirium. So we take the World Breaker. I don't even need to discard a card next turn, so let's go ahead and Surveil. Maybe we could find like an Oculus or a Fulminator Mage for next turn. See if they attack. They do attack. The hand is Heat, Mystery card. Their best card now is K Command. It's a Wooded Foothills, so they have 4, 5, 6. So if they draw a land next turn, they can cast the World Breaker. Our best hit is Fulminator Mage. Sorry, I need to get better at my streamer face. In the last build of Omni Woodlands, was say its name and alt attack a consideration? Not in the control build, no. So we don't want to activate on our turn because of the World Breaker ability. We want to activate on their upkeep before they can draw a K command. Meaningful damage, now dead to 2 attacks, I'd have held. Meaningful damage, they're now dead to 2 attacks, I'd have held. Well, I guess I'm a little confused. Wait, what did I do wrong? Because I have them dead to another attack next turn. I found the Fulminator Mage. What would you have held? I think we needed to Thoughtseize the World Breaker. Because they could have just they would have cast World Breaker last turn if we didn't Thoughtseize it. And we still have lethal next turn. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. On the play, I have 2 Boggart Trawlers, which don't seem to tap for blue or red mana, so let's mulligan. And then hopefully our Supplier or our Surveil next turn finds something good to unearth. They're on a mull to 6 with me. The point was that the fetch last turn now made dead to 2 attacks from the 3-3. 2 attacks in the 3-3. Oh, but if it didn't matter, we're still winning the race though, right? Well played, not worth thinking. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. If you don't want to talk about it, it's fine, but I just care a lot about technical play and conversation about this stuff. I'm not trying to argue. I was just trying to understand what I was missing. It's crazy this deck only has 3 of each combo piece. I'm too smooth brain to have ever read of this build. Yeah, this build just has so much card selection is why. Between the Suppliers and the Lootings and the Spyros and the Frogs, You don't really need more. Well, it'd be funny if between the Surveils and the Mills, this is the this is the only time we don't find a Spyro. Although, wait, sorry, I totally thought this looting was a Unearth. Sorry about that. Don't know how that happened. I think I'll discard these two this turn. So black-white energy is pretty interesting. They graveyard a Witch Enchanter. They play a second Pride. So my opponents cast 2 1-drops. There's 4 creatures in play. Let's cast the Seasoned Pyromancer, I think. Don't know why my brain thought I had an Unearth in that hand. Okay, so yeah, definitely happy enough to have drawn another Carnage. We'll try our best to trade the Seasoned Pyromancer, although I guess that might be easier said than done. No Molten Gatekeeper. I think that the Sephiroth and the Apprentices are better than Gatekeeper, although I could be persuaded. A little bit of lag here. Don't think our opponent's going to block very often. But if they do block, we'll Carnage it back into play. Gatekeeper seems kind of insane, worth a try at least. Less mana, don't have to draw it. Yeah, it's possible Gatekeeper is just better than I think it is. I do kind of like that the Apprentice like complements the fair plan better, which I do think is valuable. But maybe I'm overvaluing that. Six years, thank you, Matthew. Hope you have a good day too. Alright, discard this Unearth. Draw a Thoughtseize and an Apprentice. So we are an image away from lethal. They could have a Solitude in their hand. I think that kind of feels like they are thinking about casting a Solitude. Oh, sorry, it's Carnage? Carnage. 9. GLHF. Was it ever Unearthed there so you could play the Carnage on the Mayhem? Yeah, I guess that was just that was the best line, sorry. That was way better. So we could have maybe also cast the Thoughtseize this turn. So they play a tapped Witch Enchanter and maybe another Phantom. Another Phantom. We do have one more Swamp in the deck. They probably go after my Sewers, which is going to cut me off of the ability to cast my best top deck, the Phantom. And then they're going to attack for... Oh, they missed this attack for 2. That's interesting. Alright, well, drawing this, let's go ahead and Thoughtseize their last card. It is a Flickerwisp. So let's play the Sephiroth before we attack with the Spyro that's going to have to chump. I think I'm interested in sacking the Supplier. Play this, and then... Yeah, don't want to attack into the first strike wall, I guess. And they just take 2 instead of not taking 2. Oh, they're playing around Unearth being my last card. They get in with the first strikers this time, putting me all the way down to 6 life points. Should be somewhat comfy to crack this fetch, so I can have an out of Phantasmal Image to win, and then I'm not dying just on the backswing here. Is their last card relevant? They're pausing. Only 1 blue Surveil land in the deck. Okay, well that's a nice draw deck, top deck. So let's cast this first. I think I'm pretty interested in attacking with both of these. Maybe it's wrong because I want to go block, double block, block, block. No, I just have enough blockers. Well, I guess I don't if I sack the Serva. Don't know. I don't really think they're going to do a lot of blocking here. Now I drew the image, so we're gonna go for the combo second main phase, I think. We're okay if this dies, we can still combo. Alright, they do let this connect. So my opponent can't have Solitude, they can not have Fatal Push because they don't have Revolt, and then it doesn't break up any of this. So seems like we would have to be cowards to not go for the combo here. Now, I kind of like to manually click through these because some opponents might not realize this is an infinite loop. And so the more you click through manually, especially at these lower life totals, it's already happened a couple times, so we just get a few extra damage in. And they're also only at 8, so it's only like 4 more loops anyways. Combo's been pretty good. Been pretty good. I'm going to ask infinite, I'll say yes. There we go to game 3. Or sorry, game 2. I've said it backwards all day today. Okay, so we're all against Black-White Energy Scam. They probably have Felia Overlord in their deck. So I think I'm gonna bring in the Fatal Push. I think we'll go down 1 Supplier, 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Spyro. And I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick before we crush our opponent into dust. This deck, I think this has been like the same. Every time we play this deck, we've lost round 1 and we've won the next 3 matches. I think, and then I think we've lost round 5. So it would be cool to win this one. I don't know, not the biggest deal, of course. But I will say this is our 3rd Carnage League, and we have like at least a 60% win rate with these decks over 3 leagues now. Alright, sorry about that, gamers. Opponent is on a Mulda 6. Sorry for the wait. Carter 4 coming soon. Oh, sorry. I was thinking about this Carter 4 joke, and I wrote the word 4 and this water bottle so on my keyboard. Okay. Let's go. I think I'm going to get a little greedy on the looting because I could go double Unearth next turn if I draw a 3. Nice. Might Thoughtseize first, we'll see. Thoughtseize might be good to break up Felia Overlord. Ooh, a frog is interesting. Oh, sorry, I have Steam Vids. I can't double Unearth anyways. But although it's kind of fine since I want to go Unearth the Spyro, then cast this. So why don't we just Thoughtseize this turn? Maybe a little too slow. Sorry, definitely should have got the Blood Crypt. Take the Solitude. So that they drew this return. They're going to play the Felia main phase so they can jump with the guide. So we're going to take 5 this turn down to 9. Would you say the last Modern Abandons were a big success? Absolutely. I mean, it was a step in the right direction for this long healing journey in Modern that we've been experiencing. A big step in the right direction. Okay, so I'm going to unearth the Seasoned Pyromancer. I'm going to discard Carnage and Frog. And then we're going to cast the Carnage, bring back the Frog. I was always really high on the unbannings. I was like nervous for them to some extent, but I do think that they led to more of a dynamic of like kind of classic, iconic Modern cards versus the Modern Horizon stuff, which is a dynamic I'd like to see more of, quite frankly. There's like cards like Birthing Pod and Deathrite Shaman and maybe I guess Jite was never legal in Modern. Oh, top deck Overlord with Solitude in the yard and Ephemerate in hands. Brutal. And Felly in play. Probably going to go to game 3. We'll see. We'll try to cheese this one with a combo, I guess. We're not dead this turn. Hard to imagine my opponent doesn't attack with the Felia. Now, I guess we're gonna go discard Looting Supplier here. It does seem like blocking this cat is gonna be kind of nice. They might Solitude my frog. Okay, they might Solitude this frog right now. They Solitude the Carnage. So now I just get to block the Felia with the Spyro. Yeah, I think this was worse than just like Solitude Ephemerating on their instep after they get another white card off the Overlord. I think they made a mistake here. I am going to discard the Looting and a Supplier, and I'm going to block with the Spyro, and I'm going to Unearth the Spyro next turn. Now, we do have to attack with this frog next turn, and we do have to sacrifice it when it deals combat damage. Oh my gosh. I didn't fly the frog. Alright, one mistake deserves another. Just keeping it even. So, like, this just should be deleted. It's just, damn it. Them salting frog is good. I would think so too. Had a chug. We didn't play one today. The one yesterday we went 2-2. On Friday we lost our winning in for top 8. Alright, so let's start off by flying the frog. I think we're pretty dead to them flying the Overlord. The combo is Carnage returning Seasoned Pyromancer, or sorry, returning Stitcher Supplier, Phantasmal Image. And that's infinite deaths because you can copy the Carnage over and over, and then you win with Marionette or Sephiroth. So I do think we're pretty dead. Let me play the Nightmare. Yeah, I guess we can go play Nightmare, play Supplier, unearth the Spyro, draw 2, then reanimate the frog so that we have a blocker for next turn. I think I like this in the yard to reanimate later. Still pretty cooked. Do you think there's a Chthonian Nightmare deck without the combo just because graveyard stuff for value? We played that when Sephiroth came out, and it was like really fun, but it wasn't very good. I feel you don't have a blocker through Solitude and Overlord. That's true. I guess we would be at 10 life here, but we'd be taking too much. We'll go through the motions here. Thinking playing Ice to Brood over Houston. What are thoughts? I think the deck's very good. I think it's a good choice. I think the best choices for that event are probably like Titan Prowess Brood Scale, although I would encourage you to try to find as good a plan against Titan as you can. There aren't really good plans out there, so maybe you could figure out something that I can't. I don't really think Damping Sphere is the move. And there aren't really a lot of other options, but like you could play 4 Damping Sphere and have a really bad Titan matchup as Brood Scale. How did Frog die? When you reanimate something with Carnage, when it has to attack each turn of Fable, and when it deals combat damage, you sacrifice it. Alright, let's keep this on the play. Why Sephiroth over Blood Artist? So Blood Artist is like this tiny, fragile 0-1 that dies to all this peeing removal. It has no other function besides comboing. So Blood Artist is worse than Apprentice Marionette. I would play, I'd play more Apprentice Marionettes if I wanted to. have that kind of effect in the deck, or another copy. But Sephiroth draws cards. We're a deck that's playing 4 Unearths, so this is better to Unearth. It's just like much more powerful for a smaller or a relatively small mana increase, right? So I do think I just want to play an Apprentice this turn. Could you have discarded 2 cards to live? I believe I went to 0. But we also have like no outs if we discard 2 cards, I think. But I was at 7 taking 11, so if I discarded 3 I go to 0, right? But a 2 orb, 2 sphere for Titan and a prayer, yeah, it's just like I don't love that you could just play like 4 dedicated cards for the combo matchup and be like, well, I'm so unfavored in all 3 games. Have you put the counter? I know I have, not in this deck. I don't know exactly why I have, but I know that I have. So we do get an extra Sephiroth trigger off of the... Oh, I guess they would have to stack it. Oh, they do stack it wrong. Let's go. Do I want to sack this for a card? Sure. So they have 3 spells in their hand. They found land number 2. Gonna fly the cat. We're gonna start off with the looting next turn, almost definitely. Probably gonna unearth the Seasoned Pyromancer. Maybe we can get lucky and find an Oculus, though. Again, they have 3 spells in their hand. So we're going to play Frog and we're going to unearth the Seasoned Pyromancer after. Probably discarding our last card to make a bigger Frog than getting an extra token off the Seasoned Pyromancer. I suppose we should play the Blood Crypt so we can cast another top deck Spyro. Although the 2 life I know is pretty scary. Oh my gosh. I guess it doesn't matter, but I could just discard the Spyro to the Frog. This is like a classic Aspiring Spike brain fart though, where I need to discard... It just always happens when I need to discard 2 cards. I need to discard 2 cards, I mentally discard the Spyro, then I just discard 2 other cards instead of actually discarding the Spyro. Didn't actually matter at all in this situation, but... I did that on camera one time. I cast Faithless Looting, discarding Arc-like Phoenix, and then... Alright, so I discarded 1 card instead of the Arc-like Phoenix. No, Oculus, or Sanctifier. So I guess let's go ahead and fly the Frog. But I discarded 1 card instead of the Phoenix. Then Cedric Phillips like, whoa, mentioned something about a lot of cheaters existing, and then they rewinded and they let me discard the the Phoenix, which obviously I meant to do. Well, I understood why they kept this 1-lander. That was probably the card they kept on top with the Surveil, right? So now, not particularly possible to cast the Oculus off just the Supplier here. Their hand is Pending Overlord Felia. Well, it makes a lot of sense for their hand to be this stacked. Seems not very beatable. I do think I'm interested in attacking, despite not really having a plan for the Sanctifier. Very hard card to plan for. Could have Supplier plus discard Thoughtseize to Frog. Supplier plus discard Thoughtseize to Frog. Well, I was kind of hoping that they only had 1 good card in their hand and I could try to use the Supplier to fill up the yard for this Oculus. But their hand was 3 bangers, so I don't think we can win. So I will give up. Okay, new mic stand should be coming in. Doomed to always 3-2 with these Grixis decks. I think all 3 leagues have been lose the first round, win 3, lose the last round. But that's not too bad over 3 leagues. I'm definitely interested in playing some more.